Compensation. So, ano nga ba yung compensation? Yung compensation po is yung total reward ng employee na na-receive kapalit po ng pagtatrabaho nila sa isang company. This includes both direct financial payments or indirect benefits. Ang example po sa financial payment is yung salary or yung wages ng isang employee. While sa indirect benefits naman po, ang example dito is yung mga health insurance, bonuses, and paid leave. Components of total returns. Number 1 is total compensation. So, total compensation is the complete package of pay and benefits an employee receives. It includes base salary, incentives or bonuses, benefits like health insurance or retirement plans. Number 2, relational return. So, yung relational return po, refers po siya sa non-financial reward na nakukuha ng employee sa trabaho nila katulad ng personal growth and development, recognition and appreciation, job satisfaction, work-life balance, and career advancement opportunities. Total compensation component which include cash. So, yung cash po, ito po yung fixed salary or wage ng employee na nare-receive niya regularly kung weekly po ba siya or monthly, 'di ba po kasi minsan yung iba nagtatrabaho sila tapos yung sahod nila is lingguhan, yung iba naman buwanan. Merit increases. So, yung merit increases, these are permanent raises and pay given to employees based on their performance, skills, or achievements. Incentives. Yung incentives naman po is ano lang siya, additional reward lang na binibigay sa isang employee to motivate employees to reach specific goals or targets. Bonuses. So, yung bonuses naman po is a one-time payment na binibigay for various reasons like meeting company goals, holiday rewards, or exceptional performance. Employee benefits. So, yung employee benefits po is a non-cash reward na binibigay kay employee katulad na lamang po ng health insurance, paid leaves, retirement plans, and other perks na nagsosupport po sa well-being and job satisfaction ni employee. Organization usually have the following objectives related to its compensation and benefit system. So letter A, to attract competent employees to the organization, to motivate and to retain them. So dito po, yung ibang company po kasi nag-offer sila ng good pay and nag-offer din po sila ng benefits para ma-attract yung mga talented people and they keep them happy and in-encourage din nila na magstay pa ng matagal yung mga employees. Letter B, to align the compensation system with the organization's goals and objectives. So here, pay should support the company's goals. For example, rewarding employees who help the company grow or innovate. To control costs and maintain the company in a reasonably competitive. So, the company must offer fair pay but also manage costs to stay profitable and compete with others. So, for example here is a retail company compares its salaries with other stores to offer competitive wages without overspending. Letter D, to promote and maintain good employee relation by maintaining fairness in its compensation system. So, having a fair and equal pay build trust and reduces conflict in the workplace. So, example po dito is yung isang company po, gumagawa po sila ng salary reviews regularly para po ma-ensure nila na yung employee po nila na same position lang po doon is nakakatanggap po sila ng same amount ng money. Kung magkano po yung sinweldo ng isa, ganun din po sa isa. Wala pong dagdag or wala pong bawas doon sa isa. Letter E, to comply with legal requirements. Companies must follow labor law about minimum wage, benefits, and working hours to avoid penalties. So, for example, A factory follows government rules by giving overtime pay for work beyond 8 hours a day. Theoretical bases. So theoretical bases in compensation system are rooted in motivation and behavioral economic theories that help shape how people and rewards are designed to improve performance and productivity. Leibenstein behavioral economic theory introduced the concept of X-efficiency, emphasizing that a firm productivity depends more on internal operations than just market efficiency. This theory supported incentive-based systems like gain sharing and bonuses to boost productivity. Herbert's motivation hygiene theory suggests that pay is not a motivator but a hygiene factor necessary to avoid dissatisfaction but not enough to improve performance. High enough pay is essential to meet basic economic needs.
Two important theories that have influenced the development of reward system in organization.
Adams' equity theory states that employees are motivated when they feel that their inputs or effort or skills are fairly rewarded with outputs or pay or recognition compared to others. Number 2, Vroom's expectancy theory. Vroom's expectancy theory states that motivation depends on an employee's belief that efforts leads to performance and rewards. Theory states that motivation is the product of three factors. So, number one is expectancy. So, yung expectancy po is ito yung paniniwala ng isang tao sa abilidad niya na kaya niyang gawing successful yung task na binigay sa kanya. Number two, instrumentality. So, yung instrumentality naman po, ito po yung paniniwala ng isang employee na kapag naging successful yung performance niya, may matatanggap siyang reward galing sa organization. Number three, valence. Yung valence naman po, siya yung nagpe-perceive ng value or attractiveness ng reward. Vroom. So sa Vroom po, kada isang individual dumadaan sa rational process which is inaalam or sinusuri nila yung kakayanan nila na gawing successful yung bawat task na binigay sa kanila ni employer. Adams Equity Theory. So, sa Adams Equity Theory, namomotivate yung employee kapag nafe-feel nila na yung input nila or yung effort or skills nila ay na re-rewardan with output nila like pay and recognition.
A is the financial capability in the company. It significantly impacts the design of its compensation system. So here's how the financial capability affects. First is the budget constraints. Companies with limited financial resources may need to prioritize basic salary over benefits or bonuses. 2 is the competitive advantage. Companies with strong financials can offer more attractive compensation packages to attract and retain top talent. Third is investment in human capital. Financially stable companies can invest in employee development programs, training, and benefits. Company's financial capability and characteristics plays a significant role in shaping its compensation system. By considering these factors, companies can design compensation packages that attract, retain, and motivate employees while aligning with their business goals. B is the company's corporate philosophy, significantly influence the design of its compensation system. So, corporate philosophy first is the values driven compensation. Companies with a strong social responsibility philosophy may prioritize benefits like paid volunteer time or environmental sustainability initiatives. Second is the performance oriented culture. Companies that emphasize high performance may tie compensation to individual or team performance. A company's corporate philosophy plays a significant role in shaping its compensation system by aligning compensation with company values and goals, companies can create a motivated and engaged workforce. C is the economic conditions in the community. Economic conditions in the community significantly impact the design of a compensation system. So here's how the economic conditions affect or impact design of compensation. First is cost of living. Companies in areas with high costs of living may need to offer higher salaries or benefits to help employees afford the local lifestyle. Second is the labor market. In areas with low unemployment, companies may need to offer more competitive compensation packages to attract and retain talent. Third is the industries. Industries facing economic challenges may need to adjust their compensation packages to remain competitive. D is the laws and government. Laws and government regulations significantly impact the design of a compensation system. So here are some ways. First is the minimum wages laws. Companies must comply with minimum wage requirements set by federal, state, or local governments. Second is the equal pay laws. Companies must ensure equal pay for equal work regardless of gender, race, or other protected characteristics. 3 is the benefits regulations. Companies must comply with regulations related to benefits such as health care, insurance, retirement plans, or paid leave. Fourth is tax laws. Companies must consider tax implications when designing compensation packages, including tax deductions and credits. By considering laws and government regulations, companies can design compensation systems that are compliant, fair, and competitive. Labor market conditions significantly impact the design of a compensation system. So here's how the labor market conditions impact. First is talent scarcity. In competitive job markets, companies may need to offer more attractive compensation packages to attract and retain top talent. Second is unemployment rates. Low unemployment rates may acquire companies to offer higher salaries, benefits, or perks to attract employees. Third is the skills shortage. Companies may need to offer specialized training, develop opportunities, or higher compensation to attract employees with in-demand skills. By considering labor market conditions, companies can design compensation systems that attract, retain, and motivate employees. F is collective bargaining agreements. By considering CBAS or collective bargaining agreements, companies can design compensation systems that meet contractual obligations and support a positive employer to employee relationships. Third is the alignment issues. In designing compensation systems, compensation managers attempt to ensure internal alignment and external competitiveness. A is the internal alignment. Internal alignment is crucial for achieving efficiency, productivity, and success in both personal and professional settings. So there are three different levels, oftentimes referred to as pay grades or wage scale. Each level is assigned a range of pay rates from minimum to midpoint and to maximum. Second is the pay structure, refers to the hierarchy of pay rates to different jobs in an organization. Third is pay mix, refers to relative emphasis given to each of the organization's total cash components such as base pay, incentives, bonuses, and benefits. B is the external competitiveness, refers to an organization's ability to compete effectively in the marketplace, outperforming rivals and achieving market success. It requires ongoing analysis, innovation, and improvement to stay ahead of competitors.
Example of salary survey. This survey aims to gather information about salary range for various positions in industry region. Your practice position will help us understand market trends and ensure fair compensation practice. All response will be kept confidential. This survey example provides a starting point for gathering insight into salary trends and compensation practice among HR peers in professionals association. The result can inform talent management strategies, salary negotiation, and benefits design. These surveys can be viable resources for organizations looking to benchmark their compensation practice against industry standard and ensure they remain competitive in the market. These consultants can provide valuable expertise and data-driven insight to help organizations design competitive compensation package and attract top talent. These government surveys provide valuable data and insights that inform police decision, research, and program evaluation. These online sources can provide valuable insights into salary trends, helping job seekers, employers, and HR professionals make informed decisions about compensation.
This is my report about developing a compensation structure. When we say developing a compensation structure, ito yung pagbuo ng mga gawain kung paano kikita yung mga empleyado batay sa kanilang trabaho. May dalawang distinct methods ang developing a compensation structure. Una dyan yung job-based approach. It means mas sinasahuran siya based doon sa role niya. Example niyan yung manager, mas mataas yung sahod ng manager kaysa sa CEO assistant. Sunod is yung person-based methods. Ito yung kahit pareho sila ng duties or trabaho, magkaiba sila ng sahod kasi nagbe-base sila sa skills ng tao. Example na lang nito yung manggagawa. Yung cardinal, diba, doon paramihan sila ng ma-produce na product. Kunwari, sa nyug, kung ilan na balata nila, yun yung sasahurin nila. Next is yung mga simpleng hakbang sa pagbuo ng compensation structure gamit ang job-based methods. Number 1 is yung job analysis. Ibig sabihin, tinitingnan yung bawat trabaho para malaman yung mga gawain na responsibilidad at kinakailangan kasanayan para sa trabaho. Halimbawa, tinitingnan yung trabaho ng sekretary, ano yung mga ginagawa niya araw-araw, ano ang skills ang kailangan. Number 2 is yung job description preparation. Ito na yung gumagawa ng maayos na listahan para sa mga tungkulin at kwalifikasyon para sa bawat posisyon. Halimbawa, gumawa ng job description para sa sekretary, nag-aasikaso ng mga tawag, gumagawa ng schedule. Number 3 is yung job evaluation. Dito na ikunukumpara yung mga trabaho para malaman kung alin ba yung mas mabigat o mas mahalaga. Halimbawa is yung ikinukumpara yung secretary sa admin assistant. Alin ba yung may mas mabigat na trabaho or mas madamay ba ang responsibilidad ng admin assistant. Number 4 is yung paggawa ng job levels o grades. Inaayos yung mga trabaho sa grupo antas batay sa halaga or bigat ng trabaho. Halimbawa is yung kapag utility worker ka, dapat yun lang din yung level mo. Kapag secretary ka, ibang level naman yun. Number 5 is yung determining pay rates. Dito na itinatakda na yung mga angkop na sahod sa bawat level ng trabaho. Halimbawa dyan is yung sahod ng utility worker is 10,000 kada kinsinas. Tapos yung secretary is 15,000. Doon, tinitingnan sa level ng trabaho mo yung sahod. Number 6 is yung adjusting pay structure. Ito na yung tinitingnan dito kung balance ba at patas yung kabuuang sistema ng pasahod at ina-adjust kung pinakailangan.
Job evaluation method. HR uses several techniques to assess the relative worth of job within an organization. This method fall into two main categories. Number 1, non-quantitative methods. These evaluate the job as a whole, comparing it to other jobs without assigning numerical values. Ranking method. Jobs are ordered from highest to lowest based on their overall importance or value. Position classification method. Jobs are grouped into predefined classes or grades based on similar duties and responsibilities. Number 2, quantitative methods. This break down a job into key factor and assign numerical values to each. Point system. Points are assigned to specific job factors like skills, efforts, responsibility, and the total determines the job value. The last one is factor comparison system. Jobs are evaluated by comparing key factor against benchmark job with known pay, combining both ranking and point methods. Non-quantitative method of job evaluation. Number 1, ranking method. This method involves ranking jobs from highest to lowest based on their overall importance or difficulty. It is a simple and quick approach using general judgment rather than a structured system. The steps to be followed are as follows. Number 1, obtain job analysis information. Number 2, select raters and job to be ranked. Number 3, rank jobs according to overall difficulty or importance. And the last one is combined and average rankings for each job across raters. Letter A, accountant. Accountant holds a more advanced role handling complex financial tasks such as preparing journal entries, trial balance, and reports. This position also helps establish financial system and controls, requiring deep knowledge of accounting principles and the ability to design and communicate accounting procedures. B. Senior Accountant Clerk. Senior Accountant Clerk focuses on routine financial processing tasks like handling accounts payable, payroll deductions, and billing computations, while it still requires attention to detail in financial record keeping skills. It involves less decision making and analytical work than the accountant role. Letter C. Secretary. Secretary role serves as the administrative backbone of the office, handling a wide variety of tasks, scheduling, correspondence, filling the records management with minimal supervision. It requires a solid grasp of office procedures and the ability to juggle multiple clerical and stenographic duties efficiently. D. Data Processing Supervisor. Data Processing Supervisor directs and optimizes the department's data workflows, scheduling jobs, overseeing system maintenance and revisions, and ensuring accurate output, requiring both technical programming expertise and team leadership. E. Clerk Typist. Clerk Typist, by contrast, is an entry-level position focused on routine clerical work, typing letters, reports, and invoice, operating duplicating equipment, and sorting mail. It demands basic arithmetic, correct English usage, and computer literacy, but involves far less decision-making or administrative responsibility than the secretary role. After comparting raters' ratings, these jobs may be evaluated as follows, with 5 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. So, ang pinakamataas po dito is yung Data Processing Supervisor, which is rank 5 po siya. Yung sumunod po sa kanya is Accountant, which is number 4. Sumunod po, Senior Accountant Clerk, number 3. And ang pangalawa po sa pinakamababa, secretary, which is number 2, and yung pinakamababa po na sa position is yung clerk typist, which is number 1.
Good day, my fellow students, special tour instructor, Ma'am Wenchel. I'm Arvin J.C. Divilla, and I'm going to present this Table 8.1 rating scale in the position classification method. Description: skills, effort, required responsibilities. Ito po yung first description. At least a high school graduate no experience required, semi-skilled work. Position in this kind of grade: janitor, laborer, messenger, utility aid, elevator operator. Number 2, description: bachelor's degree holder, no experience required, computer literate, perform word processing, answer phone. Ito po yung position in this kind of grade. In this grade, transcriptionist, transcribe, secretaries, clerk, word processors, administrative assistant, junior accountants, cashier, purchases, HR officer, system manager, operation manager, administrative officer. Okay, dito tayo sa next slide. Letter B, quantitative method. Kapag sinabing quantitative, kapag sinabing quantity, number, bilang yung hinahanap. And quantitative method is used in job evaluation, and there are two methods, which are first, point system, and the second is factor comparison method. Dito tayo sa first, the point system. This is a widely used method that assigns point to a various job dimension or factors. And these factors represents aspects of job that contribute to its overall value. The total points assigned to a job determined its relative worth compared to other jobs within the organization. Meron tayo ditong example sa table 8.2 that provides an example of rating scale. Essentially, each factors is a given point value, and these are summed to get a total job score. Check natin yung table 8.2. Compensable factors. This table outlines that the compensable factor used to determine the salary or pay grade of a position. Each factor is assigned points, weighted to reflect relative importance, and has a point range. The total point across all factors determine the overall compensation level. Let's take a breakdown of each factor. Dito tayo sa una, knowledge required for a position, example, education and experience. This factor assesses the level of knowledge, education, and experience needed to successfully perform the job. It carries the highest weight, 40%, and the largest point range is 50 to 2000%, indicating that its significant contribution to overall compensation. Pangalawa, accountability for equipment, plant, and materials, capital, budget. This factor considers the responsibility and accountability assigned to the role regarding resources. A higher level of responsibility, example, managing significant budgets, results in a higher point score. Kasunod ay supervisory function. This reflects the level of supervisory responsibility involved in the position. The position awarded depend on the number of subordinates supervised and the complexity of the supervision required. Kasunod ay complexity of task. This addresses the difficult and intricacy of the task involved in the job. More challenging and complex tasks receive a higher point value. Contacts, internal and external. This refers to the level of nature of interaction with internal colleagues and external stakeholders. More frequent and complex interactions usually mean a higher point score. Then physical demand. This factor considers the physical effort and demands of the job, such lifting, standing, or repetitive movement. Higher physical demand correlate a higher points. Sunod ay work environment. This factor reflects the characteristic of the work environment, such as safety risk, comfort, or environmental factors. A more challenging or hazardous environment might lead to a higher points. Siyempre, buhay na natin yung binubuhis natin doon. Kung napansin nyo, mga number yan, 800, 16%, 50 to 80. Yun yung sa first method, which is the point system. Dito kasi sa the factor comparison method, paliwanag mo natin kung ano ba ito. This method break down each job into compensable factor which are assumed to be present in all jobs to varied degrees. Kung napapansin nyo dito sa slide, nakikita nyo yung 5 common factors, which are the skills, mental requirements, physical efforts, responsibility, and working conditions. Hindi siya katulad ng point system because this method doesn't use numerical points directly. Instead, it involves ranking jobs based on each factor separately and then combining this ranking to determine the overall relative worth of each job. For example, one job might rank high in skills but lower in physical effort, while another job might have an opposite profile. The final ranking reflects an overall combination of these factors. Okay, dito tayo sa next slide sa steps sa pag-evaluate ng benchmark jobs. Yung kanina yung sa table 8.2, though hypothetical lang daw yun sabi dito sa slide. Ito yung unang step, reviews job information, job content, job specifications, expected level for the successful incumbent, and working conditions. Pangalawa, define each of the factors being used. Example, knowledge includes the extent and nature of information that worker must have to perform the job effectively. Then, rate each factors. Determine the level for each factors, the range of point to be assigned to each factors, and its weight or value as a percent of the total number of points.
Okay po, ang next po is developing a compensation structure person-based approach. Meron pong dalawa dito. Ang una, skill-based pay method, and second, competency-based pay method. Magpo-focus po tayo sa skill-based pay method. Ang skill-based pay method, ito yung sistema ng pagbabayad kung saan ang sweldo ng isang empleyado ay nakabatay sa kanyang mga kasanayan at kakayahan. Mas maraming kasanayan, mas mataas ang sweldo. And kung may makikita po kayong chart dyan, gumagamit ito ng skill matrix, isang chart na nagpapakita ng iba't ibang antas ng kasanayan para sa iba't ibang posisyon na trabaho. Ang matrix ay kadalasang naglalaman ng mga numero, antas na kumakatawan sa lalim ng kasanayan. Yan po yung may makikita po tayong advanced, intermediate, entry. Yan po yung parang skills ng isang tao kung paano siya babayaran. Next po, pinapahalaga nito ang pag-aaral at pag-unlad ng mga empleyado dahil ang pag-aaral ng mga bagong kasanayan ay maaaring magresulta sa pagtaas ng sweldo. Yun na, yung pag may magandang skills ka, syempre, babayaran ka din ng nakaayon sa skills mo. And maaaring madaling maunawaan at gamitin ng mga empleyado dahil malinaw ang ugnayan sa pagitan ng kasanayan at sweldo. Next is, maaari din siya magdulot ng pagtaas ng produktibidad at kahusayan ng mga empleyado dahil may insentibo silang matuto ng mga bagong kasanayan. At may karagdagang impormasyon po, ang pagpili sa pagitan ng skill-based at competency-based pay ay depende sa uri ng trabaho, culture ng company at mga layunin ng company. At mayroon pa po, mahalaga ang malinaw na komunikasyon at transparency sa pag-implementa ng alinmang sistema upang maiwasan ang kaguluhan at hindi pagkakaunawaan.
Competency-based pay method. Number 1 is skills. So, demonstrate or expertise. So, demonstrated proficiency through a practical test, review of completed work, samples, or certification. So, example is software developer. A competency-based system might reward a developer for proficiency in specific programming languages like JavaScript, Python, etc., and experience with agile methodologies and problem-solving skills. A developer mastering advanced techniques in a particular area would receive higher pay than one with fundamental skills. So, number 2 is knowledge, accumulated information. Competencies could include effective communication, conflict resolution, product knowledge, and empathy. So, an employee who can consistently demonstrate excellent conflict resolution and problem solving skills would receive a higher salary. So, number three is self concept, attitude, values, self image. So, employees are assessed based on their demonstrated competency. So, this can involve various methods such as performance reviews, self assessment, 360-degree feedback, and skills testing. So, number four is traits, general disposition to behave in a certain way. So, initiative, the ability to proactively identity opportunities for improvement and take action without direct supervision. This includes self-motivation, proactiveness, and willingness to take on challenges. So number five is motives, the current roles that drive behavior. Example, job satisfaction. Employees are more likely to be satisfied with their jobs when they feel they, their compensation accurately reflects their skills and contribution. So this can lead to increased engagement and productivity. So the first two are skills and knowledge are essential characteristics that employees are required to possess to be effective on job. So they are observable and measurable competencies can be obtained through training. Yeah, skills and knowledge. And the three competencies, self-concept, traits, and motives are not directly measurable. Rather, they must be inferred from action. So that's all. Thank you for listening.